Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in your life when you realize that not every noise deserves your attention, not every opinion deserves your energy, and not every situation deserves your response. We live in a world where everybody has something to say, everybody's watching, everybody's judging, everybody's got advice, criticism and commentary about a life they didn't build, a dream they didn't carry, and a struggle they never had to survive. And the natural instinct in all of us is to react, to explain, to defend, to prove. But I came here to tell you something powerful today. The moment you stop reacting is the moment you start rising. The moment you stop explaining is the moment you start owning your truth. The moment you stop responding to everything is the moment you start protecting your peace. See, reacting is easy. Anybody can do that. Explaining is common. People do it every day. But discipline is rare. Silence is power. And control is what separates the average from the unstoppable. Some of you in this room, you're tired, not because you're doing too much physically, but because you're doing too much emotionally. You're carrying conversations that never needed to happen. You're answering people who don't deserve your answers. You're trying to convince people who already made up their minds about you. And that's draining you. You're losing sleep over things that don't matter. You're losing focus over people who don't matter. And worst of all, you're losing yourself trying to explain who you are to people who were never meant to understand you. Let me tell you something clearly. You don't need to explain your vision to people who don't see it. You don't need to respond to disrespect to prove your worth. You don't need to react to negativity to show your strength. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is no move at all. Sometimes the loudest message you can send is silence. And sometimes the greatest victory is walking away without saying a word. Today, we're going to talk about a mindset that will change your life. A mindset that will protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and elevate your level. Never react. Never respond. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real for a moment. Most people are stuck not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack control over themselves. Every time someone says something about you, you feel the need to answer. Every time somebody doubts you, you feel the need to prove them wrong. Every time negativity shows up, you feel the need to fight it. And without realizing it, you've become a slave to other people's opinions. You wake up reacting. You spend your day explaining. You go to sleep responding. And at the end of it all, you're exhausted, distracted, and still not where you want to be. Let me give you a truth that might sting a little. The more you react, the more control you give away. Because now your emotions are in their hands. They don't even have to touch you. They just have to say something, and suddenly your whole day changes. That's power, but it's not your power anymore. See, powerful people don't react to everything. They observe, they analyze, they move with intention. Because they understand something most people don't. Not everything deserves a reaction. Some people will test you just to see if they can get a reaction out of you. Some people will throw negativity your way just to pull you down to their level. And if you keep reacting, you're playing their game. You're fighting battles that don't build you. You're arguing over things that don't grow you. And while you're busy reacting, life is moving on without you. Now let's talk about explaining. Oh, this one right here, this is where most people lose themselves. Because deep down, we all want to be understood. We want people to see our intentions. We want people to know we're good. We're real. We're trying. So when someone misunderstands us, we rush to explain. We over-explain. We repeat ourselves. We try to convince them. But here's the hard truth. People don't misunderstand you by accident. Sometimes they choose to misunderstand you because it fits the story they already created in their mind. And no matter how much you explain, they're not listening to understand you. They're listening to respond. So you keep talking and they keep twisting. You keep explaining and they keep judging. And before you know it, you're draining yourself trying to fix something that was never yours to fix. Let me free you today. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You don't need to justify your decisions. You don't need to explain your growth. You don't need to explain your silence. Because the people who truly understand you won't need an explanation. And the people who don't won't accept one anyway. Now let's talk about responding. This is the hardest one because silence feels uncomfortable. When someone disrespects you, you want to respond. When someone lies about you, you want to respond. When someone challenges you, you want to respond. And in some situations, yes, you should. But not all situations deserve your response. Because every time you respond, you give energy. And energy is your most valuable currency. You only get so much of it every day. So the question is, where are you spending it? Are you spending it on your goals? Or are you wasting it on arguments? Are you spending it building your future? Or are you wasting it defending your past? Some of you are investing energy into people who bring no return, no growth, no peace, no progress. And you wonder why you feel stuck. Let me tell you something powerful. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. Silence is discipline. Silence is confidence. Because when you know who you are, you don't feel the need to prove it to everybody. You don't need to respond to every comment. You don't need to clap back at every insult. You don't need to defend your name in every room. Your life will do the talking for you. Your results will speak louder than your words ever could. And when you reach a certain level, people will remember how you handled yourself more than what you said. They'll remember that you stayed calm when things got chaotic. They'll remember that you stayed focused when others got distracted. They'll remember that you moved in silence and delivered in power. But let me warn you, this mindset is not easy, because everything in you will want to react. Everything in you will want to explain. Everything in you will want to respond. That's your ego talking. That's your emotions trying to take control. And if you don't master them, they will master you. So how do you do it? You pause. Before you react, you pause. Before you explain, you pause. Before you respond, you pause. And in that pause, you ask yourself one simple question. Is this worth my energy? Not your time, your energy. Because time you can manage, but energy, once it's gone, it's gone. And most of the time, the answer will be no. No, this argument is not worth it. No, this explanation is not necessary. No, this response is not required. And when you start choosing where your energy goes, your life will start changing. You'll have more focus, more clarity, more peace. And that peace, that's priceless. Because a peaceful mind makes better decisions. A focused mind builds better habits. And a disciplined mind creates a better life. So the next time somebody tests you, don't react. The next time somebody misunderstands you, don't explain. The next time somebody tries to pull you into negativity, don't respond, just smile. Control your reactions or they will control your life. Most people don't even realize how much of their life is being controlled by how they feel in a moment. Somebody says one thing and suddenly your mood shifts. Your focus breaks. Your whole energy changes. It's like your emotions are on a leash and anybody can pull it. You wake up with goals, with plans, with intention, but one comment, one message, one look from someone, and everything inside you starts reacting. You feel the heat rising, your thoughts racing, your heart pushing you to say something back. And before you even think, you asked. And after it's done, you sit there wishing you handled it differently. That's how control slips away from you. Not all at once, but in small emotional moments where you let your reaction speak louder than your purpose. It's painful when you realize that someone who doesn't even matter had the power to ruin your day. That a few words from the wrong person could shake your confidence. That you gave your peace away so easily without even fighting for it. Because reacting feels natural. It feels right in the moment. It feels like you're standing up for yourself. But most of the time, you're just feeding the situation. You're adding fuel to something that didn't deserve your fire. And deep down, you know it. You know there were moments you could have stayed silent, but you didn't. You know there were times you could have walked away, but you stayed. You know there were situations that didn't deserve your energy, but you gave it anyway. And it drains you. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. It builds frustration inside you that doesn't go away easily. Because every reaction costs you something. It costs you clarity. It costs you focus. It costs you control. And the more you react, the more you lose control over your own life. You become predictable, easy to trigger, easy to distract, easy to pull into drama that has nothing to do with your future. But when you start controlling your reactions, everything changes. You start seeing things differently. You pause longer. You think deeper. You choose your peace over your pride. And that's not weakness, that's growth. That's power being built from within. That's you deciding that not everything deserves a piece of you. That's you slowly taking your life back from the hands of temporary emotions. Not everyone deserves an explanation. That's a hard truth to accept when you're someone who genuinely wants to be understood. When your intentions are pure, when your heart is in the right place, you feel this pull inside you to explain yourself, to make people see that you meant well, to clear your name, to fix the misunderstanding. So you start talking, you explain your side, then you explain it again just in case they didn't get it. You go deeper, adding more details, more reasons, more emotion. You open parts of yourself that you normally keep protected just to make them understand you. And sometimes they still don't. That's the part that hurts the most, because it makes you feel like you're not being heard, like your truth doesn't matter, like no matter how honest you are, it's not enough. But here's what you have to realize: not everybody is trying to understand you. Some people already made up their minds about you before you even opened your mouth. They're not listening to your explanation to learn. They're listening to find flaws, to twist your words, to hold on to their version of the story. And the more you explain, the more you give them material to use against you. It's exhausting. Trying to prove your intentions to people who don't care about them. Trying to defend your decisions to people who were never part of your journey. Trying to justify your growth to people who are uncomfortable with it. You start feeling like you owe people answers, like you need their approval to move forwards. And that's where you lose yourself, because your life is not a courtroom. You're not on trial. You don't have to present evidence for every choice you make. You don't have to explain why you walked away. You don't have to explain why you changed. You don't have to explain why you chose peace over chaos. Some people won't understand your silence, and that's okay. Some people will question you, and that's okay. Some people will talk anyway, whether you explain or not. And that's the truth that sets you free. Because once you realize that explanations don't guarantee understanding, you stop overgiving yourself. You start choosing who gets access to your thoughts, your reasons, your story. You become more protective, more selective, more at peace with being misunderstood by people who were never meant to understand you. And slowly you stop feeling the need to prove who you are to anyone but yourself. Silence is a form of strength, not weakness. It doesn't feel that way at first. When something hits you, disrespect, criticism, lies, everything inside you wants to speak. You feel this pressure building in your chest, like if you don't say something right now, you're letting yourself down. Like staying quiet means you're losing, so you open your mouth, you defend, you argue, you try to correct everything that was said about you. You raise your voice, not just to be heard, but to be understood. But somewhere in all that noise, you lose something. You lose your calm, you lose your clarity, you lose your control. Because reacting loudly doesn't always make you strong. Sometimes it just shows how easily you can be shaken. And that's a painful realization. That people can pull you out of your peace with just a few words. That they can disturb your mind without even touching you. That your emotions can be triggered so quickly and so deeply. Silence feels uncomfortable because it goes against your instinct. It feels like you're holding something back. Like you're swallowing words that deserve to be said. But silence, real silence, is not about holding backs. It's about choosing better. It's about standing in a moment where you could say everything and deciding not to. That takes strength. That takes discipline. That takes control over yourself that most people never develop. Because not every situation deserves your voice. Not every person deserves your explanation. Not every comment deserves your attention. And when you respond to everything, you make everything important. You give value to things that should meant nothing. You give time to people who should have had none. Silence changes that. Silence creates space between you and the chaos. It gives you a moment to breathe, to think, to see things clearly instead of emotionally. And in that space, you start realizing that most things are not worth it. Not worth your peace, not worth your energy, not worth your time. You begin to understand that your power is not in how loud you can get, but in how calm you can stay. That your strength is not in winning arguments, but in avoiding unnecessary battles. That your confidence is not in proving people wrong, but in knowing you don't have to. And slowly, silence stops feeling like weakness. It starts feeling like protection, like control, like a quiet kind of power that doesn't need to announce itself. Because deep down, you know exactly who you are without saying a word. Protect your energy at all costs. Nobody really teaches you how valuable your energy is until you start feeling completely drained for no clear reason. You wake up tired, not from work, but from people. From conversations, from things you didn't even need to be part of. It builds slowly a message here, an argument there, a situation that pulls you in even though it had nothing to do with you. And every time you give a little bit of yourself, you think it doesn't matter. But it does, because energy doesn't just disappear, it gets spent. And the problem is, most of the time you're spending it on things that give you nothing back. You give your energy to people who don't respect it. You give your energy to situations that don't improve your lives. You give your energy to thoughts that keep you stuck in the same place. And by the end of the day, there's nothing left for you. Nothing left for your goals. Nothing left for your peace, nothing left for the things that actually matter. That's when it starts to feel heavy. You feel overwhelmed, even when you didn't do much physically. You feel irritated even when nothing big happened. You feel exhausted and you can't even explain why. Because your energy has been leaking all day, through reactions, through explanations, through unnecessary responses, through trying to carry things that were never yours to carry. And it hurts when you realize how much of yourself you've been giving away so freely, how easily people can access you, how quickly you say yes when you should have said no, how often you stay in spaces that don't feel right just to avoid discomfort. But protecting your energy requires making uncomfortable choices. It means stepping back when everyone expects you to step in. It means staying quiet when you feel the urge to speak. It means walking away from people who don't value your presence. It means choosing yourself even when it feels selfish. Because it's not selfish, it's necessary. You can't build anything meaningful when you're constantly drained. You can't grow when your energy is scattered everywhere. You can't find peace when you're always available to chaos. And the truth is, not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your attention. And definitely not everyone deserves your energy. So you start becoming more careful, more aware, more intentional with where you invest yourself. You start asking, is this worth it? Is this adding something to my life or taking something away? And when the answer is clear, you step back without guilt. Because protecting your energy is not about shutting people out. It's about finally choosing what deserves to stay in your life. Focus on results, not responses. It's easy to get caught up in what people are saying about you. The opinions, the comments, the doubts, they get loud, sometimes louder than your own thoughts. You hear someone question your ability and it sticks. You hear someone doubt your direction and it makes you pause. You hear people talk and suddenly you feel like you need to answer them, prove them wrong, show them something right now. And without even realizing it, your focus shifts. It's no longer on your work. It's no longer on your growth. It's on them, on what they said, on how to respond, on how to make them see you differently. And that's where you start losing. Because every minute you spend thinking about responses is a minute you're not spending building results. And results don't care about opinions. Results don't argue. Results don't explain. Results show up and speak for themselves. But building something real takes time. It takes patience. It takes staying locked in even when nobody understands what you're doing. And that's the hard part. Working in silence while people are talking about you. Staying focused while people are watching you. Keeping your head down while people expect you to react. It feels unfair sometimes. Like you should say something. Like you should defend yourself. Like you should correct what's being said. But every time you step away from your path to respond, you delay your own progress. You interrupt your own momentum. You slow down your own growth. And the people you're trying to respond to, they keep moving on with their lives while you're stuck in that moment. That's when you realize it was never worth it. Because at the end of the day, nobody remembers what you said. They remember what you did. They remember what you built. They remember the results you created. And that kind of proof doesn't need words. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need approval. It stands on its own. So instead of trying to win conversations, you start focusing on winning in life. Instead of proving people wrong with your words, you prove them wrong with your actions. Instead of chasing validation, you chase progress. And slowly the noise starts fading, not because people stopped talking, but because you stopped listening. You became too focused, too driven, too committed to your path to care about every little response. And one day, without even realizing it, you look back and see how far you've come. And all the things people said about you don't even matter anymore. Discipline over emotion always wins. Emotions are powerful. They rise fast, hit hard, and in the moment they feel like truth. When you're angry, it feels justified. When you're hurt, it feels permanent. When you're frustrated, it feels like you have to do something right now. And that's where most people lose control. They move based on how they feel in a temporary moment and end up making decisions that leave permanent consequences. You say things you can't take back. You react in ways that don't represent who you really are. You break your own focus, your own consistency, your own progress just because something triggered you. And after it's over, when the emotion fades, you're left with regret. That quiet feeling of knowing you could have handled it better. That moment where you replay everything in your mind, wishing you had paused, stayed calm, stayed in control. Because deep down, you know emotions are not meant to lead your life. They're meant to be felt, not followed blindly. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't shout. Discipline doesn't rush. Discipline doesn't care how you feel in the moment, it cares about where you're going. And that's why it's so hard. Because discipline asks you to stay calm when you feel disrespected. It asks you to stay focused when you feel distracted. It asks you to stay silent when you feel like reacting. It goes against everything your emotions are telling you to do. But that's where the real growth happens. In those moments where you feel everything rising inside you, and you choose not to act on it, where your heart is racing, your mind is loud, but you stay grounded. You hold yourself together. You don't let that temporary feeling control a permanent decision. And it's not easy. It takes practice. It takes awareness. It takes catching yourself in the moment again and again until it becomes part of who you are. Because emotions will always be there. People will test you. Situations will challenge you. Life will keep putting you in moments that push your patience, your control, your limits. But discipline gives you stability. It gives you consistency. It gives you the ability to stay aligned with your goals no matter what you feel. And over time, that's what separates you. Not how passionate you are, not how loud you can get, but how steady you can remain when everything around you is trying to shake you. Because in the end, it's not the strongest emotion that wins. It's the strongest discipline that stays standing